My opponent did not throw down additional shields, so the asset is basically splashing down with only a very tiny indenture here. Everything else is completely asseted. Under the asset, my Mustangs here can do some more damage. Also, these Mustangs can do some additional damage to all the chaff crawlers that would otherwise take quite an amount of time. My steel balls still have superior range, so they stay out of the asset and get the fortress shields down really quickly once they actually get to lock on. Stormcrawlers are clearing the fangs. I think the fangs were not the play here. They will just get AoE'd the moment they really spawn. And that means that 2 fortresses in the asset being storm called upon and killed by a melting point actually means that I win this round. I wouldn't even have needed range from the melter, I think. The stormcallers could have cleaned it up anyway. But there's always the chance that the opponent shields here, and then I'm not really lucky. I think he should have done that. Iron Blast for my opponent. I think I also get Iron Blast, but I'm not entirely sure. No, I do get the M-Core. I didn't really want to Iron Blast against a mass of fortresses. He can even upgrade these fortresses, and then the Iron Blast is just going to do shield damage at a slow pace. He does drop it on the Stormcrawlers and the melting point, which is totally reasonable. The melter was able to level, and I think I'm getting a second melter with the M-Core here. I have a really nice nook for a melting point. I do end up going for shields because I'm totally expecting my opponent to Iron Blast here. This should protect the majority of my units, and I end up going for more anti-chaff, basically. And no, I'm not going for a second melting point, at least not yet. Unless I lose, there will be more rounds. My opponent does buy out, but apparently is not getting any temporary upgrades. And I put the M-Core on this pack of level 5 Mustangs. I think that is a good choice, yeah. I need to use my items now. I can't hang on to them until I get potentially more other units. I end up getting more upgrades and probably level the marksman, if I had to guess. Yeah. So the Iron Blast does hit. It mostly hits a shield for now. Gets 2 of the Stormcrawlers. Probably a lot more here because it will burn through this entire line. But the melting point stayed alive. And that means I still have sufficient DPS against these fortresses. In addition, the steel balls are starting to really roll. And you can definitely see that Steel Ball Mustang is in full effect now. In standard, mind you. I never really would have expected me, out of all people, to go for that unit composition. Marksman, unfortunately not able to finish the job now, so another salvo is wasted, kind of. But the steel balls have actually pushed through the tower, and these Mustangs will not really care a lot about asset. They don't lose much HP per second, because they don't have much HP anyway, and there's nothing shooting them, so they survive for the entire duration. And my opponent is being denied a good amount of XP. Not that he's super leveling his units or anything. Scorpions, probably to counter my melters, and of course the steel balls. I now drop Wraiths, because I'm noticing my opponent, he can hit the anti-air button, but it's a really expensive button for him to hit. And there's nothing against my air units now, other than this pack of Wasps, that don't have any upgrades other than the jump drive, and he even sells them now. And then there's just the Fangs that are being spawned in the Fang unit here. And I guess these Typhoons. I'm completely missing these Typhoons behind the fortresses. I do put more levels into steel balls. And I have a splash high explosive ammo on my Mustangs now. I do buy out and get both the upgrades similar to my opponent. I throw down a missile in an effort to prevent everything from being hit here. But I should have put that missile further back, I think, because some of these crawlers might not get AoE'd. My opponent is buying an additional pack of additional packs of Stormcrawlers. I'm trying to snipe something in here, but I'm not sure if that is working. Nope, I end up getting nothing. Should have targeted a pack of rear crawlers, I guess. Steel balls have locked onto. Fortress shields going down extremely quickly while the scorpions are still busy shooting chaff. But every amount of damage on fortresses counts. I do now have a second melter down to help with that damage, because the steel balls, while they are great at getting the shields down, they don't survive long enough to do much else. The fangs with shields kinda just get AoE to death. It's looking like my opponent is pushing through on the ground, more or less. But I do have some air units. Don't get the anti-missile device, unfortunately. Health now actually looking in my favor. Smoke bomb or nano repair kit. Smoke bomb cannot be ignored whether you take it or don't take it here. I do end up putting the what's it called? I think I heard the sound of an item being used. Oh, that was my opponent. Yeah, it was my opponent. He put the repair on one of these fortresses, and he's probably gonna level it. I would definitely suggest he levels it. Even though I think into melters, that is not worth it. If I were my opponent, I would have invested into some additional protection. I do end up dropping shields. My opponent is not dropping shields. And this is the moment where I think it's legit to say that my opponent is now throwing. You need shields in the last round if smoke comes out and you rely on ground units for the most part. You need shields. For crying out loud, put 2 fortresses in the front at least, so they can absorb the smoke if you want to do that. I think it's a poor use, but you need to kind of do that. That is just a throw, in my opinion. He did get overlords in order to counter my wraiths, a decent enough choice. But I have marksmen and I have carry mustangs. So these overlords will not last for a whole lot. And boy, the smoke is dropping. EMP on the melters as well to shut off the techs on my opponent's ground units. Chaff being cleared. The Mustang steel ball is literally rolling in. Surprisingly, these shields have not yet gone down, but all of these units have nerfed range, and the steel balls are finding really good value now with these fortresses, while the melters in the middle are dealing with everything else, and it's just, oh, that is so much steel ball fire or laser. Towers are about to drop, but it doesn't even matter. The range debuff has hit my opponent so hard. And I think it's legit to say he forgot the shields. And I hate when I forget the shields. That said, I think my position here was looking so dominant that I think it doesn't even matter if he defends against this. I think the only way that he could have won with the units that are on the board now is if I didn't have shields and he gets to smoke right here in the middle or something like that. Then I think he takes the round. But other than that, I think not putting the shields up was a huge mistake. And I think that the Fangs with shields and mech rage were also a mistake. The Fangs were doing nothing into the Stormcrawlers that just instantly AoE'd them away. I think that was a mistake. Like, both the Mustangs and the Stormcrawlers hard counter the Fangs. So double tech into Fangs and the Fang spawn is a throw, in my opinion. You should have gone for fists, if you ask me. Anyway, I'm still glad that I won this one. So I thank you for watching and listening. And until next time, hopefully.